I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co-host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hi, Melanie Johnson here with another podcast with Jen Foster. Hi, Jen.
Hey, everyone. How's it going?
Well, we want to remind you to subscribe to our podcast because we always have great, wonderful people on, just like today. So make sure you subscribe and share it with your friends as well so they can be as smart as you are. Today, we have Terry Sidford. And if you are wondering how to be courageous, especially in this time, I think that is such a great word of courage. How do we have courage going through difficult times like this COVID-19, being in lockdown, maybe losing your job during this time, hanging on to all the things? I mean, life in general, before all this happened, had its difficult times. But now that word courage stands for so much more. And Terry is an expert at this field. She has been a certified life coach for the last 15 years. She's written a book called The 100 Hearts, Inspiring Stories from of women who had lived and became courageous. And she has been in high demand lately. So we are lucky to have her on our show to talk about courage and how we can tap into that. Terry, welcome. Thanks so much for coming today.
Thank you for having me. This is really an honor. I really appreciate it.
Great. Well, Terry, tell us how you got started into this and how you came about writing the book and helping people be courageous.
Well, I'd love to tell you a little bit about it because it was really something I did not intend to do. In fact, most of my life, I never saw myself as a writer or great at spelling or grammar and all those things. And I found my passion to help other people, became a life coach and was doing that for 15 years. And what I noticed is that I connected my clients in a way I just didn't understand. Mm-hmm. And most of my clients were women. And I saw them demonstrating courage and not acknowledging it in themselves. I knew I needed to know more about it. So I decided to create a survey on the subject of courage, and I gathered it from 100 women, thinking I would get some great information, if I gathered 100 of them. And I found that majority of these women were demonstrating courage, but they never would see that. And they said when they read the book, they started to see the courage in their own life story. And they started to take risks and achieve things they never dreamed of. And when I was on a book tour, a lady in the audience asked me to describe how I had demonstrated courage. I had no idea what to say. So that kind of led me on a journey of self-reflection and looking at my own life stories and realizing, I've kind of been ashamed of some of the things that happened in my life. And from that moment, I realized, well, what if I could see it differently? Mm-hmm. What if I could really own the fact that I was courageous instead? What happened is when I changed that story from feeling ashamed from what happened in my life to seeing myself as courageous, I stopped hiding and I stopped making excuses from my past. And I started to show up more powerfully in my life and work. And I really have achieved things I never dreamed possible. Being here with you today, I'm a motivational speaker. I'm doing things, I wrote a book, and I'm helping other people. So that's my message of courage, is that, courage really is a heart word. It's a Latin word for core, meaning heart. And it's really speaking one's truth. Mm-hmm. And courage, yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. And courage is what else?
And courage is really needed to step into what you are capable of being and achieving.
What do you think are the first steps for someone to find their courage? Like for you, someone asked you that question. Is it looking in the past of other times that you have been courageous to tap in that to be courageous, to have courage for today? How do you do that? What are the process for you?
That's a great question. It's a great question. And I'm asked that all the time. The first thing is really looking at your things you have gone through that have been difficult or challenging or hardships. And looking at how you made it through that or how you overcame those things. a lot of those things have been just dismissed as, just great strategies of survival.
Mm-hmm.
But what if you had a different perspective on that and actually saw that you were strong? Some people don't make it through that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see that you were able to make it through some of these difficult times in life, that'll give you and you can label it as strong, brave, courageous, then moving forward in life and whatever you're going to face isn't so scary, because you know that you have made it through. You are strong, you are courageous. So that would probably be the first step. Now the second step would be, let's say you're facing something very challenging in the moment, and you don't have time to look back and say, when was I courageous? I got to deal with this right now. It's just connecting. It's inside. Your courage is inside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's connecting to your human spirit, your
Mm-hmm.
heart, and knowing that we are stronger than we think we are. Yeah. So it's kind of getting out of your head, going to the heart, really, unless it's something real dangerous, then you have some, your brain is involved because you need some strategic strategies. But knowing that it's inside of us. Mm-hmm. And ask for those answers. Say, what do I do? How can I get through this? And be quiet, be in the present time, and you'll be able to do things you didn't think you could do.
Yeah, going back to the first step, I think it's hard for me to, I look at my other people's lives, right? And you think of the struggles that they go through and you think, oh, they're so courageous. And then, like you said, you look at yours and maybe you're if I look at mine, I'm thinking, well, I was weak in that moment, or I think about all the wrong things I did, right? What did I do wrong? Instead of, like you said, and looking at saying, well, maybe that exact same thing I did that I'm thinking I did wrong or I was weak is the opposite, right? Because, yes. And then, like you said, you did make it through. So I think just that first step, that is the hardest part, is twisting your mind to say that what you did was courageous, that you did make it through, and going through that. And I look at my friends' lives and things that they've gone through, and I just think I could have never gone through that, and they're so courageous. So, but then I don't think, like you said, you don't look at your life and think, you're courageous, because we're all self-critical, right? So how do you overcome that? Like you said, get into your heart, but what are some other things you can do to not be in that, where you're putting yourself down all the time, right? In your head.
Right. It's easy. It's a habit. And as women in particularly, we're really hard on ourselves. We kind of want to be perfect. We think we should be perfect. We're not. We're human beings that are not meant to be perfect. Be kind to yourself and really be your own best friend. And it's a habit that you can change to look at what you're feeling and thinking differently, a new perspective. Mm-hmm. So if you're starting and just notice that when you are thinking these feelings, is it making things better? Or is it making things worse? And stop, be in the moment, say, how can I look at this differently? Is there another perspective I can look at this situation in? Because changing my story, which, was later on in life, I went through a lot of pain because I held on to this thought that I thought was true. Mm-hmm. And I held so tight onto this story. This is who I am. This is what happened to me. And as soon as I changed it and looked at it differently, my whole world changed. So you don't have to wait till you're, later on in life to figure that out. And so, do some self-reflection on your thoughts, analyze them, ask yourself, is there another way I can look at this?
I think sometimes we don't see ourselves maybe as other people see us. When I went through my crash and burn phase of, life falling apart, and people go, oh, you're so strong, you're going to get through this. I'm like, I'm strong? I never thought of myself. I just never even stopped to look at myself that I was strong, and people perceive me as this strong personality and strong person. At the time, I did not feel strong. I felt like someone had taken me down with the baseball bat. So, it's trying to get to that voice. And then someone told me recently, Melanie, I admire you. You're just fearless. You're fearless. I can't believe the things you've done. You're fearless. And I think, really? I'm fearless? I don't think of myself as fearless, but it's Jen and I started this business with $0 and just plowed ahead and just did it. And that's really a definition of fearlessness. when you go through there. So sometimes I think it's, listening to the positive people of that, what they're saying to you, and not being defined, as you say, by yesterday. Like, whatever happened yesterday does not define who you are for today or tomorrow. Do you teach that?
Yes. That's brilliant. Brilliant. That's really true. You don't have to be defined by your story, and you get to assign the meaning of your story, and you can change the meaning.
Yeah. All right. So
and a lot
Bon Jovi song was one of my favorites when I was going through that time. That, this is the story of my life and I write it every day. It might not be
yes.
black or white, but it's every shade of gray,
Love it.
And that's true. You're writing the story of your life every day with the decisions you make. I think that's a good, even parenting tip to give to your kids. Like, all your decisions, you're writing that story of your life with whatever you do, and bumps in the road come your way. And it's all how you decide to write the story and choose to either focus on the solution, I think is what you're telling us, Terry, versus focusing on the problem. Don't focus on the negative part of it. Focus on how you're going to move forward. Is that right?
Absolutely. And I talk to my clients all the time about this. And, how can you look at it differently if you make a mistake? Mm-hmm. We're meant to make mistakes. And how can you learn from it? Let's say, how can you change that story about, wow, I'm a real failure. I made this bad mistake. Well, how can you look at that differently? What can you learn so that you can move on and let it go and become better from it? Yeah. How can we move on from what we've just gone through with this COVID-19 and not have it scar us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we made it. We're making it. Maybe we found that some things that we've been doing and using our time that we don't want to do these things anymore. Maybe we quieted the noise and we found that we're closer to who we are and what's important to us.
Yeah. And what about forgiveness? I think what I heard you saying earlier is really you have to forgive yourself, right? You make mistakes, you think things went wrong, and so you're beating yourself up over it. And to me, the word that came to my mind was self-forgiveness. Forgive yourself. The sooner you forgive yourself, that's the greatest gift you can give, is forgiving somebody else that you felt that did you wrong, because they're not every day going, oh man, I'm so glad I did this. They're not thinking about you at all, about what the action they did to you, but you're carrying it around like a giant boulder. So when you decide to forgive them, then you're free. You have that space. You're in the space that you're talking about. And then it's the same thing for yourself. So you made a bad decision. So you didn't do something right. Forgive yourself. My dad used to, every time I would talk to him when I would screw up, oh man, I really screwed this up. And he'd be like, oh, let's just forget about it. Next time you're going to do this and you're going to do that and do that. It's going to be so much better. And we'll just fix this and do that. And, I've learned from him, someone said, well, how long do you think your dad, it takes him to forgive himself? I said, seconds. I've watched him seconds. He's moved on. It's like, okay, so I screwed up. I screw up all the time. So, move on to the next, what's the next thing, and make it better. So gosh, if everybody could get in that routine of forgiving themselves within a matter of seconds versus years, what difference we would feel.
Your father's brilliant.
Yeah.
And what a great example that's been for you. That's a lot of people, it takes a lifetime to learn how to forgive themselves. And it's not that you have to forget about something, but it releases that connection, that negative connection to it. It frees you up from it. Otherwise it holds you down from really kind of moving on. And, we're the only people that can be our best friends. And even during this time, I've had people say, I've really felt some strange things that I just, I felt a little out of control. I'm not usually the one that feels out of control here. And we need to be loving, kind, and compassionate and forgiving to ourselves, because we're really the only ones that can really do that to the level that we need. Otherwise, you're stuck. You're not living in the present time and creating for your future. You're really stuck, and it holds you back in the past. And there's always an opportunity to learn, let go, move on, forgive yourself. Because all we have is right now. So whatever's happened in the past already. So how do you release it so that you can really move forward? I know it all sounds so easy, doesn't it? Yeah. That's what we're all trying to figure out. But all these are really important rules, and I've seen people be courageous enough to really do it. And it does take courage. It really does.
I love that
But
you
it's
said,
worth it.
yeah, it definitely is worth it. I love that you said that the opportunity is always there. So I think that's something we have to remember is, you know, there's always opportunity to look at yourself as courageous and not as weak, because you did get through it, and to forgive yourself and do all those things that you're talking about, and take a minute
Yes.
and get heart-centered like that. So tell us,
Yes.
what is a certified passion test facilitator? It says you're a certified passion test facilitator. I've never heard of that. What is that?
I took a specific course of training so that I could help people identify their top 5 passions and how to implement them in their life.
Oh, wow.
And it's been fun. I really, it's been great. Our passions really are connected to our values and things that are really important to us. And our values and our passions can change over time, but usually we have at least 5 top ones and a couple that stay with us our entire life. And when you find what you're passionate about, it really brings you alive. And even if you're working and you have your job that you think, you know, this is not my ideal job, but then you start working on your passions on the side. Let's say you always wanted to learn how to play the guitar, and you are, you know, practicing it maybe for even 10 minutes a day. All of a sudden, you are connected to something really important within yourself, and your energy comes up, your lightness comes up, your joy comes up. So it's been a real key in working with people to really have a fulfilling life, is to identify their passions. And it's a simple but powerful tool that it was based on Janet Atwood is the author of The Passion Test. It's a book. And then they went out and started doing trainings to teach coaches and different people to facilitate it.
I love that.
It's very powerful.
Very powerful. Yeah, everyone talks about passion and purpose and tapping into that. You had a different take on it. I love it that you have your passion be your side hustle, more or less, whether it's a hobby or a different job or something like that, and it can fulfill you in other ways to get you through the job that maybe you don't like.
Exactly. I mean, somebody's like, well, do I need to leave everything behind and just start, going towards my passion? No. Don't leave your day job yet.
Full time and, pay your mortgage necessarily.
Right. Like you've got to take care of business here, basics. But what you find is that some people, I do try to encourage people that eventually I want them to at least believe that it's possible to live your passions and make money and, take care of yourself, because it is possible, but maybe you do it in little steps, in little increments, and not just throw everything away and change your life completely. So I've seen people really have that vision or that intention that, one day this is what I'm going to do. And they slowly took the steps necessary, and they're doing it now. And they just have to believe and find out what that is. So it's pretty fun, pretty fun to help people do that.
We're kind of wrapping it up, but tell us, is there anything that, especially with everything going on, is there anything that we should have asked you, or any tip that we didn't get to that you want to leave us with?
I think you've done a really fantastic job of asking me a lot of questions. I just want people to have hope out there, and that we can't control everything that happens to us in life, but we can control how we respond. So know that you're stronger than you think you are, that people do want to help you, that you can ask for help, and don't be afraid to do that, that we're all in this human experience together. But be courageous enough to keep moving past your fears, because 98% of what you fear never really happens. So just know that. So just be strong, be compassionate, and be loving, and ask for help. So I think that's my last message for everyone.
I love that. Well, tell us where people can go to find you, get more information about you, and to hire you as a life coach.
Yes, you can go to my website, which is Terry, Terry, Sidford, SIDFORD.com.
Great. We'll put that link up at the bottom of the YouTube video and in the show notes for everyone listening on all the podcast channels.
Thank you so much. It's been a really fun interview and wonderful time to be talking about this to your audience.
Thank you, Terry. Well, remember to subscribe to our podcast because we always have great podcasts for you, terrific guests. And if you're looking to write a book, please contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com. And we will see you next time. Have a fantastic week.
Have a great day. It's a great day to
Thank
write
you.
a book. Bye, Terry.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.